Main Tesla subjects will be scaling to extreme size, which is needed to shift humanity away from fossil fuels and AI. But I will also include sections about SpaceX, Tesla, and the Boring Company. Well, that's freaking exciting, isn't it? It's no secret that Elon Musk recently came out and said that he's working on Master Plan Part 3, and a lot of people have been trying to guess, myself included, to try and figure out what that master plan is going to entail. And last night's tweet from Elon gives us a lot more insight into what he's thinking about and what direction he's planning to take the master plan towards. Now, the two key things that I want to focus here from Elon's tweet are these two: extreme size and shift humanity away from fossil fuels. We know that the cars that Tesla is making is one step towards that goal. And here's a chart that describes what percentage of transportation energy in the United States is based on cars, semi-trucks, things like that. So things that Tesla's currently working towards or is about to enter from a transportation perspective. If we add up the total percentage that Tesla is entering or is about to enter, you can see that it's roughly 80% of the total energy usage of the transportation sector in the United States. However, if we put this within the context of the total energy usage in the United States, you can see that transportation is only 26% of the total energy pie. The rest is taken up by residential, commercial, and industrial energy use cases. What's even more interesting is if we look at the transportation piece, that 26%, and we narrow it down to specifically how much market share Tesla has right now, they're shipping roughly about 1 million cars a year, which constitutes roughly 1% of the total market. And if you take that 1% and you apply to the entire energy use case in the United States, including transportation and everything else, Tesla is only making up 0.2% of the total energy use in the United States. And we can make the assumption that we can extrapolate this out roughly the same for other countries that are both developed or are being developed. And so the amazing thing here is that even with Tesla's crazy pace and the amount of work they've done so far and how much they've embedded themselves into the culture, they're only 0.2% of the total energy use cases in the United States. It really makes you think just how much more work needs to be done where we're shifted away entirely from fossil fuels. And obviously Elon is thinking very hard about this. And so scaling to extreme size is what's needed to really make a dent into the remaining 99.8% of the energy that's being used. Now, of course, a percentage of the energy that's currently being generated in the United States is from renewables. That number is roughly 12%. However, even if you take that into account, you can see just how small of our total energy usage is really coming from renewables and is coming from fossil fuels. Now, the master plans have been really, really good at helping us understand how Tesla achieves what it's trying to do and how Tesla is looking to solve the problem and tackle the problem using what they think are the best steps to take. So in this case, if you're really trying to get to a maximum size and really trying to get yourself to a place where scale needs to be the primary piece, the biggest bottleneck, which is most likely, is supply. So supply of materials, supply of the actual thing that's needed to create the batteries that are required for us to transition towards sustainable energy generation and storage and consumption. And what Tesla has shown in the past is that if the solution doesn't exist, they go and make it happen. They go and create it. So let's take the cars as an example. The master plan part 1 was, hey, we need to start moving towards electric transport. And so what did Tesla do? They made the electric car. As they made the electric car, they saw that batteries were going to be a gigantic bottleneck for them to make the cars. And so what did they do? They started making their own batteries. And as we think about extreme size and extreme scale, what is the biggest bottleneck that's going to allow us to make batteries today? It's going to be the materials. It's going to be the lithium. It's going to be the silicone, the iron, call it whatever you want, a bunch of different materials that have to be taken out of the ground and put into these batteries. And this is where I think the master plan part 3 is really going to be focused around. It's going to be around how to get those materials so that Tesla can take the manufacturing expertise and all the other expertise that they've built to really allow themselves to scale to where they need to be. And Elon has talked about this topic before. This is not a secret. This is something that he's talked about before. And so I really think master plan part 3 is going to be focused around one very important thing for Tesla, and that is going to be mining. Mining the materials and mining what you need and getting those pieces, those atoms that you need to get the scale going is by far the largest bottleneck for Tesla to achieve its goal of mass scale, of extreme scale. Controlling that supply is going to be extremely important because it's going to really allow you to do it at the most cost-effective manner and doing it as fast as humanly possible. That's one of Tesla's strengths, is figuring out how to do it at the cheapest cost possible, as fast as humanly possible. That is what Tesla is extremely good at the core. And what's also really interesting is that Elon mentioned SpaceX, the Boring Company, and AI as key pieces of that master plan as well. So how do those things play into the mining piece? I think the Boring Company is going to have more than one function. It's not just going to be a thing that's going to allow us to go from point A to point B. And one of the main things you have to do to get materials out of the ground is to move ground, is to make holes, is to shift land around. So I think the Boring Company is going to be crucial in not just exploring the mines, but creating the land environment that's needed to extract the materials out of the ground. Next, if we take the AI piece that Elon mentioned on his tweet, I think that applies directly to the Tesla bot. So where does the bot fall in this equation? I think the bot's going to be used to get the materials safely out of the ground as cheap as humanly possible and as quick as humanly possible. It's no secret that a bot will be able to work just as fast, if not faster than the fastest human. And there's obviously not going to be any concerns around loss of life when the bot is working in the mine. One of the biggest things about mining is that it's an extremely difficult and extremely dangerous job. It's one of the hardest, most difficult jobs on planet Earth today. And there's many reports around how a lot of these materials are conflict minerals, meaning that they're being mined by miners or by governments that don't have the best interests of their people in mind. And so I think the bot is going to be extremely important here to remove that layer of complexity from the process. If you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, I would love it if you hit the like button. It helps other people see this video through the algorithm. Thank you very much. You have the Boring Company moving the land and getting the bots to where they need to go to extract the materials. And then you have the bots either doing the work to extract the materials or transport the materials from the ground to a staging location or above ground. Not to mention that Elon very clearly stated recently in the Q4 2021 call that the Tesla bot is by far the most important piece that Tesla is working on today. And AI safety and moving to AGI in a safe manner is obviously going to be top of mind for Elon and Tesla in this situation, but also having the bot to do jobs that are dangerous, minor, repetitive, mining, or boring, wink, wink, right? I don't know. This is probably a little tinfoil hat, but could that be why that word is in there? I don't know. I'm just going to throw that in there. I think there's a lot of merit for that bot. I think mining is going to be one of the first jobs that will either get replaced or dramatically enhanced by the bot that are going to create immense value to the world, is to try and get those minerals, those materials that are going to be so crucial for scaling Tesla to an extreme size. You need those materials for those batteries. It's extremely, extremely important. And what's great about this is that Tesla has already solved how to move the product sustainably from that staging site at the mine to wherever it needs to go to be distributed further. And Tesla can very much do this by, again, using the Boring Company to create tunnels for direct transportation from the mine site to the distribution site. And you can very easily use Tesla semis to transport that material from one site to the other. Now, where SpaceX falls into this equation, I think, is transporting a lot of mineral material, a lot of raw materials from one place to another extremely cost effectively. And this is literally loading up a Starship with as much lithium or nickel or silicon or iron or whatever that material is, as much as humanly possible that you can fit in a Starship, and then you move that product from one continent to another. There's going to be a huge need for moving materials as quickly and as cheaply as humanly possible from one part of the Earth to another. And Starship could be one of the most cost-effective ways to move material from one part of the Earth to another. In the case where Tesla needs to get to extreme size, tapping the current supply chain with boats and semis and cars and whatever other vehicle transports is likely not to be a realistic thing because the capacity is already well over maxed out. We know all these supply chain issues. These really existed for a while, ever since the advent of e-com. And so creating a brand new way of transporting things from one place to another and really dramatically increasing the capacity of that supply chain is where Starship and Semi are going to be very, very crucial to actually move these raw materials around the globe so that Tesla can achieve that scale. The supply chain has to increase. The capacity of the supply chain has to increase. And that's where the Starship and Tesla Semi and the Boring Company are going to be incredibly important to move raw materials from one place to another. Now, I don't know if this next piece is going to be part of the master plan, but having access to so much supply, I think gives Tesla the ability to really enter new markets where they wouldn't have before. So things like homes. Tesla could start making their own homes that are beautiful, that are super efficient, very easy to build, build, very fast to build, already come with solar roofs and solar panels and storage and super efficient HVAC, right? These are things that Tesla could really start investing in because now they have so much freaking supply of batteries that it could really make a lot of financial sense for them to start getting into that market. And if you think about them tapping that market, what does that mean? That now means that Tesla could have access to the supply chain that's needed to really understand how to build homes or how to build structures while using a very, very efficient build that's repeatable and easy to build. You can use the bots to build the homes. And in this case, the bot will also work because you can use those bots to build the homes. But I think the more important thing is that as Elon thinks about the colonization of Mars, right? So you want to get to Mars, but how are you going to build Mars? How are you going to build that colony? You need expertise around building homes. You need expertise around building structures and things that are self-sufficient and are capable of being extremely efficient because of how dangerous and how hard it is to live on Mars. You need something that's super, super comprehensive. And so the lessons that you learn on Earth and the materials that you're able to tap into using that supply chain on Earth, it really sets the stage for Tesla and SpaceX and Boring Company to be able to take all of these lessons that they learned on Earth. And now that they have an end-to-end supply chain that really allows them to build essentially a base from scratch, think about it. You know how to get the materials, you know how to build the batteries, you know how to build the homes, you know how to build the HVAC or the aircon, and you know how to pressurize things because of the Model X and the Model S. And you know how to generate energy using solar panels, and you know how to move stuff around using the electric vehicles, and you know how to create roads and highways that bypass the natural sort of ebb and flow of the Martian surface. Now you can use the tunnels to get from point A to point B. You can use the bots to build these things from scratch. You don't even really need humans, theoretically, on the surface of Mars to build these things. But all of this cannot happen unless there is a ridiculous amount of supply. There needs to be a ridiculous amount of supply. And Tesla knows this. Elon knows this. We've all known this for God knows how long. And so if extreme scale is the priority here, then supply has to be priority number one. How can we get the maximum number of supply materials, of raw materials, to really get to where we need to go? And so that's where I think mining is going to be by far the most important piece of this master plan. Let me know what you think in the comments. Am I thinking about this incorrectly? Is it too moonshot, or does it make sense? I would love to hear your side of things. If you'd like to support this channel, I have a link to my Patreon below, or you could also join the channel by clicking join right below this video. I also have a link in my description for a special deal with Athletic Greens. It's a supplement that I use every single morning, and I've been using it for months now, and I really, really trust it. So if you're interested, check it out. And now before we leave, I love to leave you with a riff. See if you can guess the title and artist of the song. If you know what it is, drop it in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Guitar riff, go!